Okay, this is probably the wrong time of year to do a video like this. It's about camping. Camping under the stars. Have you ever slept outdoors without a covering of a tent? In the summertime, my wife and I like to sleep on a back porch. No screens, no tent, no nothing. Just out in the outdoors looking up at the stars and moon at night. You can learn a lot from camping, and especially observing creation. My daddy taught me to enjoy the creation. As a little boy, he would encourage me to look at the stars, and he'd point out the Big Dipper to me, but as a little kid, I could never see it, figure it out. He'd talk about looking at a sunset. Being in the outdoors and in the woods, you could breathe pure oxygen. It's such an amazing experience. Sleeping under the stars or in a tent or a pop-up camper, or if you older you get, maybe a Class C motorhome. I don't get to do much camping these days. More of my traveling is seeing a couple of my adult children in foreign countries. But still, I have good memories of it. After high school, I took a motorcycle trip out to the Northwest, 6,000 miles in about 16, 17 days. We were young, a friend and I, and went down to Northwest, down to Oregon coast, down into the Redwoods. I had a Kawasaki 900. He had a Honda 750. The next year after high school, went to the Southwest, went to 9 national parks, Grand Canyon, the Four Corners, Yosemite, Bryce, Zion. Came up into Sequoia National Park. The first year I kept track of all of it, and I think we spent just a little over $500. I had a tent and sleeping bag on my bike and clothes, and my friend had his sleeping bag and his clothes. I encourage our people to take vacations, and I encourage them, hey, try a different church while you're on vacation. Try a Pentecostal, charismatic. Try a black church. Try anything, maybe even a snake handler. Just give it a try. Just see what's up out there. We used to do family camp, and where we'd all pool the food and cook over an outdoor fire. And it was a lot of fun. We'd go paintballing. City life distracts you away from God. But even at that, go camping. When the weather gets better, take a trip and camp under the stars. There are 2 direct communications from God to man recorded in the Bible where you can kind of get a quick insight into the personality of God. One of these is found in Job 38:42, where the Lord starts bombing Job with a bunch of questions about his creation. And then the other is in Isaiah 40 to 48 to 50, 52, I don't know, in that range. And the Lord points out 2 of his great attributes, and that's creating out of nothing and then predicting the future in detail. These are to manifest his power. Then in the New Testament, you have the direct words of Jesus, usually sometimes in a red letter edition. But when you see something like this in Isaiah 54, verse 2, he says, enlarge the place of thy tent, and let them stretch forth the curtains of thine habitations. Spare not, lengthen thy cords, strengthen thy stakes. Now, I'm not looking at the doctrine of this, just looking at this idea of enjoying the outdoors. This is one of 10 times where the word tent and curtains are found in the Bible. Often curtains we would think are in front of a window. But this is the covering of the tent, referred to as curtains here. Have you ever set up a tent? Something like this, it probably brings this to mind, where you put the stakes down, you spread this out on a flat surface, put the stakes, make sure you get the stakes in, And then either you have on the inside either fiberglass poles or aluminum poles that holds this up. Sometimes folks will have a rope on the outside on this tent. But doesn't this idea here, he tells us, strengthen the stakes, lengthen the cords. Maybe you got, rope on your tent. And then the curtain is stretched out over the tent. I mean, that's pretty easy to think, imagine, or whatnot. Maybe you have a tent like this, where this one you see you got the cords, okay, and you learn to rough it, as they say. A lot of fun with that. I used to hike in the mountains of Colorado, go above timberline. We'd have a tent, stuff like that. I mean, it was very enjoyable to be out in the creation. Let's see if we can come up with anything else as far as Scripture goes here. Isaiah 42, and of course this is within that time when God is speaking about himself or his desires. Thus saith God the Lord, he that created the heavens and stretched them out, he that spreadeth forth the earth. Okay, now doesn't that kind of sound like a tent, spreadeth forth the earth? I don't know if you've ever set a tent on, on unlevel ground, and if it's got a slant, you get up in the morning and you're going to be, toward the end where it's going down towards. But does this right here, stretch them out that spreadeth forth the earth? I mean, does that kind of come to mind, something like that to you? It does me. Let's try another one in Isaiah 44, down to verse 24. It says, thus saith the Lord thy Redeemer, he that formed thee from the womb. I am the Lord that maketh all things, that stretcheth forth the heavens alone, and spreadeth abroad the earth by myself. And this gives rise to something like this, maybe a big circus tent where you got stakes all around the bottom. You've got the cord stretched out. Inside you have something that's holding it up, something firm or whatnot. But, you could almost imagine something like this from Isaiah 44, verse 24. Let's try another one, Isaiah 45, verse 12. Again, this is still God talking. I have made the earth and created man upon it. I, even my hands, have stretched out the heavens, and all their hosts have I commanded. Look at it. He stretched out the heavens. Okay, so here's like a circular greenhouse, where this is stretched out. So you got the stakes in the bottom. It's a level plane. I mean, there's a lot of wisdom in building something like this with a dome. Years ago, I was thinking about building an underground house. It was a company called Terra Dome. And it would be, I think it was a 28 by 28 square, but it was domed, and you put dirt on top. It's a very efficient on heat and cooling, but the moisture would have been a tough thing. In Mongolia, here's what a lot of the structures they have, a lot of the houses that they use. You can see it's going to have it staked out, and this is going to be stretched out, and then they have a fire right here, and then it comes right out the top. I mean, there's a lot of wisdom in that. A lot of wisdom. Let's see if Isaiah says anything else about this. Isaiah 51, verse 13. Okay. And forgettest the Lord thy Maker, that hath stretched forth the heavens and laid the foundations of the earth. Oh, the foundations of the earth. Now, in 1 Samuel, I think he said that he laid the pillars of the earth. Maybe something like this, where you have pillars in water, the earth standing in the water and out of the water. I don't know, that's a possibility. Does that come to your mind? Let's try what Jeremiah's got to say. Jeremiah is quite a prophet. And in chapter 10, verse 12, he said this, he hath made the earth by his power. He hath established the world by his wisdom. He hath stretched. It's still the same idea, stretched out the heavens by his discretion. When he uttered his voice, there's a multitude of waters in the heavens and causes of vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. Okay, now I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but when you have the earth spread abroad and the heavens stretched out, and if it's raining outside or you got a dew where you'll have moisture on the inside, it develops on the inside all the way up. And if you make this massive like the earth, where that moisture can come up and it can go back and forth, condensation, evaporation, cause rain to fall on the earth. Jeremiah repeated that same idea over here in 51. In verse 15, you can say he stretched out to heaven by his understanding. Vapors ascend from the ends of the earth. Okay, so that's the same idea where you can have vapor caused on the inside. I mean, let's see. The patriarchs of Israel, they knew what pitching a tent was all about. Abraham, the father, the Jewish father there, Genesis 12, notice, he pitched his tent. So he knew how to set up a tent. Let's see what his son Isaac did. Isaac over here, Isaac departed, pitched his tent in the valley and dwelt there. Well, let's see if Isaac's son continued that pattern. In Genesis 31:25, it says, Laban overtook Jacob. Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount. Oh, okay, so he did. Well, what about Moses and children of Israel when they're wandering through the wilderness? You know that a man was directing them because nobody, wandering for 40 years, nobody asked for directions. Okay, so we got here in Deuteronomy 1:33, who went in the way before you to search you out a place to pitch your tents in. I wonder if God himself understands this idea. Obviously, he does, of pitching a tent. Wonder if he gives us a demonstration of that. And over here we have it. In Hebrews 8, okay, we have a high priest. He's at the right hand of the throne, majesty in the heavens. Look at a minister of sanctuary and of the true tabernacle. Okay, there's a true tabernacle, one that's up in heaven. And this one replicates what the earth looks like, and which the Lord pitched, and not man. Okay, so the tabernacle, the temple, okay, often the tent of the Lord. These are kind of used interchangeably. When I don't know about you, but does this what comes to your mind when you read something like this? That stretched out the heavens as a curtain. Okay, if you just stretch out the heavens as a curtain, maybe the aurora borealis comes to mind. Okay, where this gives evidence to the electromagnetic field of the earth, but often scientists will call these curtains. Okay, they'll refer to that as a curtain. Maybe this one, you would think of that kind of like a curtain where it's dancing in the sky. Oh, but he gives an additional, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. Okay, and so with that verse, I would probably say this may come to your mind. The English language paints word pictures. And so does that paint a word picture for you as it does me? I mean, here's a, more modern yurt. That's what this is called, a yurt, Y-U-R-T. But you see, you got stakes around here, flat ground, a circular idea. Maybe a more modern yurt comes to your mind. This might be in America. So here's where you would have the foundation of the earth. Okay, and it's stretched out. The tent is stretched out. I mean, maybe the Indians, Native Americans. There's a lot of wisdom in building like this. Okay, a lot of wisdom, because you could have the fire in the center and then the smoke will go right up to the top there. But there's a lot of wisdom in building something like that, So this part here, now let's bring the rest of the verse into play. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers. Now, an idea came, across my path a few years back, and what's the shape of the earth in? And this says circles. So, from then on, like everybody else, assumed a sphere or a ball. And so he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth. And so when I read that, I thought, I'll put that on hold for a while, because I don't know if I'm, understanding that completely. But when I read this second half, a week or so later, maybe a month later, when I read that second half, I thought, maybe that don't seem to make sense to be a round object, a ball. Well, I wouldn't put a tent, on a round object, a basketball or anything, but stretched out to heaven. And it caused me to wonder. There was a fella back in the 1800s. This is what he depicted in his mind, what the earth was like, where right here in the center would be the North Pole. Okay, now what's your attitude about this right now when I'm going through this? Are you rolling your eyes, or are you just kind of, maybe this guy was right? I didn't react about this stuff. This white part would be Antarctica, where it's an ice wall of 150, 200 feet wide that holds the water in like it's your bathtub. I mean, water seeks its own level, doesn't it? So this would be the North Pole, and this would be the outer edge, or shall we say the ends of the earth, where the ends of the earth, where it says that the vapor comes up, looky there. And if you do some calculations on the size of these nations, it's much, much more accurate than, as far as the other maps. This is called an azimuthal equidistance map. And it's the same idea. It looks like a circle, doesn't it? From the heavenly perspective. And the Lord is talking. He sits upon the circle of the earth. Now, a person might say, well, the globe's a circle. Okay, don't get all riled up. I don't see a reason why you should get all angry about this. I mean, I just don't understand that. Why would somebody, right in front of us, looky here, the UN flag is just like that one back in the 1800s. Now, of course, they divided up in 33 sections, but there we go. There's Australia. Not down under, over yonder. You see, even the United Nations has it right in front of us. I mean, now the ancient Hebrews, they were pretty close to God. This is what they thought. Okay, where you have the flat and stationary earth, and then this part would be the firmament, something firm. Then there's water up here, and then there's water down here, and then the throne of God is right here above the firmament, Ezekiel 10 verse 1, and then below the earth is the foundations of the earth, okay, where the vapor can come up here, and then you have the cycles of rain and everything. I don't know, is that what David and those fellows taught? It appears that's what they did. So let's try a few more places. In Exodus chapter 36. Okay, this is the Jewish temple, the tabernacle, the temple. Okay, the tabernacle here. And he made curtains of goat's hair for the tent over the tabernacle. 11 curtains he made them. So these, you see where a curtain can be something hanging in front of your window, but it's also, in this context, something that is over something. Let's try Psalm 104. I mean, are you enjoying reading a little bit of the Bible? I enjoy seeing what God has, a mortal mind, trying to figure out an immortal God. Well, Psalm 104, bless the Lord. Oh yeah, we should bless the Lord. O my soul, O my God, thou art very great. Oh boy, isn't that true? He is clothed with honor and majesty, who coverest thyself with light as with a garment. Light as with a garment. Does possibly this come to mind? You know, light as with a garment, or maybe that comes to mind. Okay, who stretcheth out the heavens like a curtain. Okay, so this curtain, the northern lights are like hanging drapes of a curtain, or they can be the covering over the earth. Okay, where this one says, look here, the foundation of the earth and the heavens, and they're going to wax old like a garment. Look here, who laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be removed forever. Thou coverest it with deep as with a garment. The water stood above the mountains. I mean, the aurora borealis gives evidence to the electromagnetism of the earth. Now, you know, I've been looking at an idea. I'm not quite certain, totally convinced yet, but boy, I'm pretty close, that the tent, the tabernacle, the temple of God, possibly was a circular shape, like all these others that we've been looking at, and there's a lot of wisdom in that. And this is a passage that kind of makes me tend to lean that way. In 1 Chronicles 16, where so they brought the Ark of the Covenant and set it in the midst of the tent that David had pitched for it. So how would you set something in the middle of a rectangle? You know, yeah, sure, you can probably get it in a rectangle, but, you know, just a thought to think about. So in Isaiah 40, verse 22, when I came across this unusual idea, it says, he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and so I assumed that that would have been a ball. Okay, even though all these ones that stretch it, but when I read this second half, that really stretched out the heavens as a curtain, spread them out as a tent. This made so much more sense to me. You see? And David says in Psalm 19, a person might say, well, you need to preach the gospel. You don't need to be dealing with something like this. Well, yeah, that's what people of the New Bible say. You need to preach the gospel. You don't need to worry about the particulars of the King James. But David said here, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Well, shouldn't we declare the glory of God? Well, that's what the heavens are doing. And down here, his going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit, circuit, circular, unto the ends of it, and there's nothing hid from the heat thereof. Now, a guy in Job, and Job is one of the older books, closest one to the flood. This here feller understood, Eliphaz, he said, thick clouds are covering to him that he seeth not, and he walketh in the circuit of heaven. So, you know, a person could walk around this, and he'd be walking in the circuit of this tent. I find that kind of interesting myself. I mean, Stephen, the very first martyr, okay, in the book of Acts, Stephen, that man full of faith and of the Holy Ghost, when he was executed and a martyr in Acts chapter 7, after when they rejected his message, looky here what he said. Being full of the Holy Ghost, looked steadfastly into heaven saw the glory of God and Jesus standing on the right hand of the Father. Behold, I see the heavens open and the Son of Man standing in the right hand. Well, how far away is that? Is that millions and millions of light years away, or is that closer than a person might think? Now, the ancient Hebrews, as I mentioned, this is what they thought. And, people of other cultures had something similar to this. But, I don't understand why there's such an emotional reaction about this topic. I mean, sure, you have people zealous on both sides of this issue, but the ones that I've seen to really react and just go ballistic are the globe worshippers or the globe proponents. I mean, what do? They use belittling, berating. I think it's used as a defense mechanism. You see? Why are they so angry, and why do they separate a person who considers the cosmos as David suggested? I mean, it's almost like a reaction if you say to a Muslim that Muhammad, bring Muhammad into question, Muhammad was a pedophile, bring that, and you watch their ballistic, I've seen that reaction from the globe proponents. What happened to grace and liberty to freely believe? What happened to Romans chapter 14 regarding our differences of beliefs? What's the standard reaction about despise, judging, despise, judging, blah, 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 blah. That's the standard reaction. What happened to grace? Jesus was full of grace and truth. What happened to this? Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. If a person is not persuaded in their own mind, that's between that person and God. It doesn't affect my friendship with that individual. I mean, I don't care what you want to believe on a topic like this. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, I have complete liberty on it. It doesn't matter to me what people think of me about this. I mean, some folks are like, it's like a little selfish child in the nursery hoarding all the toys. They're holding this box, and they say, don't think outside this box. Think outside of the other boxes, but don't think outside my box. Okay? Now, my first reaction on this topic was, that's unusual. Never heard of that before. Maybe I'll look at it, maybe I won't. I don't know, just see how things go. And then I got a second witness. Then I got a third witness. Then I got a fourth witness, and I thought, Lord, I think you want me to take a look at this. And so I took a look at it. This issue, when a person is persuaded of this issue, man, does it open up other topics. The Lord's wisdom and understanding is infinite. With this knowledge that the firmament there's a throne of God just above the firmament. In Ezekiel chapter 10, looky here. Here's the firmament. What's above the firmament? A throne. How far away is that? Less than 100 miles. Yeah, less than 100 miles. With that knowledge, my wonderful father passed away recently, 91 years, 8 months, 3 days. And with this knowledge, my dad is only about 100 miles away from me. He's not millions and millions of light years away. He's just 100 miles away from me, up north. Took a flight up north. The departure gate was here. The arrival gate was there. A very short trip, absent from the body, present with the Lord. A person, the reaction that people have, and they condemn this idea. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. You see, the shape of the earth is not the issue. Your failure, or the person's failure to question, and to prove all things. Looky here. Prove all things. Does that include the cosmos? Yeah, I do believe so. Hold fast that which is good. Prove all things. You see, the issue is not the shape of the earth or the possible shape of the earth. The issue is you refusing to prove all things. That's the issue. The issue is your lack of grace, like Jesus Christ, full of grace and truth. Yeah, there you go. Twice it mentioned full of grace and truth. I tell you what the issue is. The issue is, it's found in James 3, where it says this. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, easy to be entreated. When your globe theory is questioned, are you peaceable? Are you gentle? Are you easy to be entreated? Are you full of mercy and good fruits? Or are you going ballistic and wild and crazy? I mean, that's the reaction I've seen. Here's a thought for you. In 2 Peter chapter 3, it says here, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. So we're dealing with the creation, so that'd be Genesis 1, verse 1. Okay, the beginning of the creation, Genesis 1, verse 1. Someone is willingly ignorant of something. What were they willingly ignorant of? The earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that then was being overflowed with water. Okay, now Bible believers understand this would be known as the gap. I don't think it's a theory. I'm persuaded it's not. And what this is in the beginning, like 2 Peter said, and then looky here. The earth was without form and void, and darkness upon the face, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water. So if the earth is covered with water, what am that? That's a flood. Now, how much time between here? Millions and millions of years? No. I'd say maybe 1,000 or 2 max, something like that. Just something was here at this time, and then the rest of it is a 6 or 7 day creation, 6-day creation with the 7th on the rest. I know some folks believe in a young Earth idea, but here's a problem. Here's a problem with that. Okay, if you go to Genesis chapter 9. God told Noah, be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth. Fill it up again. Fill it up again. Do you know he said that to somebody else before Noah? God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth. Adam, fill it up again. Fill it up again, Adam. Why? Because the word replenish reveals the superiority of the King James Bible over the supposed originals. Looky here, Genesis 9:11. 9:11, isn't that a unique number? I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of the flood. Okay, that's Genesis 6. Neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. That's Genesis 1. 2 different floods. 2 different floods. And so what did he give us here to promise he's not going to do it by water again? He gave us a rainbow, right? You know what the rainbow's evidence of? It's evidence of the shape of the dome or the firmament over our head. It's a dome shaped, isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah, it is. That's exactly right. Here's what David said. The shepherd boy who spent time outside with his sheep, looking at the stars, practicing his sling. I mean, that's what he did out there. And he says, "Oh Lord, our Lord. How excellent is thy name in all the earth. Who has set thy glory above the heavens? It's in that firmament. Then it says, when I consider thy heavens, the work of thy finger, the moon and the stars which thou hast ordained. What is man that thou art mindful of him? The moon and... Where did God place the moon and the stars? Well, if you go to day 4, here we go. There's the 3rd day. There's the 4th day. What did he do on the 4th day? He turned the lights on. Let there be lights in. I mean, you make a big deal about the mark of the beast is in the right hand and forehead. Well, the lights are in the firmament of heaven. It might be a double pane glass. You know, I don't know. I've not been up there. 2 great lights. These are actual lights. One is a daylight and one is a night light. The moon has its own light. And then the stars. Yeah, the stars are inside. And the North Star is right over the North Pole. Always will be. Doesn't move. Stays right there. And they travel in circuit. That's right. They travel in circuit over the earth. That's what my dad used to tell me. Look at the stars, son. Look at the stars. David, an outdoorsman, a shepherd. He's looking up at the stars, declaring the glory of God. The throne of God's not that far away. My daddy's not that far away. You see, city people, when you look up, you see smog. Country people can see the handiwork of God. Get out of the city. Go camping. Camp under the stars. You see, the artificial lights in the city deter from the lights of God. And of course, the light of the world is the Lord Jesus Christ. Just some thoughts for you to consider. I hope it's just a blessing to you.